YouTube, what's up? I have been saving up all this cold Sorc gear and I wanted to test the other Nova Sorceress, the Frost Nova. I knew this build wouldn't be as strong as the Lightning Nova Sorceress, but I wanted to see if it was viable. I will go over the gear in the Merc Setup, the stats and the skill points, and then finish with some P1 cows and Chaos Sanctuary, and then show players 8 cows and Chaos Sanctuary and where I feel the build falls off. Timestamps and links will be in the description below. So here is the gear in the Merc Setup for what I'll call a lower players count. Using a Death Fathom with a 5/5 facet in it for plus 35 cold skill and minus 5 enemy cold resistance. A Night Wings with a 5/5 facet in it for plus 20 cold skill damage and minus 5. A 220 Ami with some poison res, poison length reduced, and mana regen. Using Viper Magi with a plus 5 minus 4 facet in it that I had, and it's 35 all res and magic damage reduced by 12. Using a 35 Spirit, Eth Sandstorm Trex, SOJ, Arachnid's Mesh, SOJ, and Frostburns. Using a Cold Sunder, and then Cold Skillers with some life, couple with faster hit recovery, and then a couple of plain in the back. And then for small charms, they're all mana charms. 17 mana, 15 mana, and faster hit recovery. Faster run walk, 17 mana, and 16 mana, 5 life. For a torch, I have a 1919 torch and a 2015-10 Annie. On swap, 262 CTA and another Spirit. So landing on 156 strength and then everything else into energy. So this is an ES version of this Frost Nova. You can see the resistances are not the best. So obviously cold is the worst because of the Sunder Charm. Fire is still positive, lightning is still positive, but with energy shield, you don't need too much because you're doing such a high amount of absorb. Poison is the only important one for ES, but I also have a cure on the Merc, so poison length is reduced even further. For the skill tree, 1 point into these synergies. Blizzard is maxed out, Frozen Orb is maxed out, and Frost Nova is maxed out. And then for this build, I only put 1 point into Cold Mastery. For most monsters that are not immune to cold, you're already doing the maximum amount of negative cold resistance already. For lightning skills, max out Telekinesis, 1 point into Teleport, and max out Energy Shield, 1 point into these synergies, and 1 point into Static Field. I do use Static Field a lot in this build. I basically do Static Field before and then do the Frost Novas. And then 1 point into Warmth. This is important because for my Mercenary setup, he's using a Cure for the Cleansing Aura, faster hit recovery. Shout out to a couple of Sweetfill Legends who traded me this cure. Hoorah. Chains of Honor, plus 2 skills, and the All Res, and the 8 Life Leech. So this is where I'm getting the Life Leech from. And then Infinity and a Mancatcher. Mancatcher because it's the fastest weapon. So faster the Mercenary can attack, the more he can leech. He is a Prayer Merc, so he's getting synergy from the cure here. So I will do a P1 cow run. Now my energy shield is not doing 95% absorb, it's doing like 93, I think. Let's see. Energy shield, 93 absorb, yeah. So some resist is important. So I do static and then Frost Novas. So my Mercenary is not using an Insight, so I have a pretty healthy mana pool of 3,800. On most gameplay, even up to P8, it's not a huge deal, although it does get low sometimes, so you gotta kind of watch it, but it's not drastic. This build does carry higher, faster hit recovery because you're wearing Spirit and the Trex, and then the charms. So I have kind of 2 setups for this. I also have a Doom for higher players count for more negative enemy cold resistance. So on P1, this is like almost equivalent to a regular Lightning Nova. You just kind of see where the damage kind of falls off. higher players count. But an interesting part about this build is that it carries 0% magic find, so this is a great base hunting character. If you're looking for those elite bases. So it's easy enough to find a mob and then do static first and then do Frost Nova. As you can see, almost every item is gray or white. So that's P1 cow. So now I'm going to do a Chaos Sanctuary run, and I'm going to take the Doom. The Doom that I have is not a great roll, minus 48 enemy cold resistances, but it does have Holy Freeze aura, so it kind of slows enemies, which is pretty nice. It's kind of, I'll say, like a little bit safer. Still +2 skills, so not bad. So it's a decent weapon to use on this build. And in Chaos Sanctuary, there are some cold immune monsters that you are breaking immunity. So it's having the Doom with higher enemy cold res is helpful. Again, kind of the same method, using static first. And then doing Frost Nova. These guys go down pretty easy versus Frost Nova because they're high lightning, but low to cold. Which is the opposite of a lightning Nova. So these Doom Knights in here are immune to cold. So that's where the Doom helps to lower their res. So you can see not having insight isn't keeping my mana pool super high, but it's not dangerously low either. And with enough plus the skills for warmth, it regenerates pretty quickly anyways. Now for Diablo, I'll use static, but having static without minus enemy light res it's not the fastest. And then Frost Nova. Lost my ES. So that's the kind of danger, is if you do lose your energy shield, you can quickly die if you don't have a eye on it or a healthy life pool. So here we'll do a player 7 cows, maybe players 8. So again, it's not too bad. Definitely takes a lot more Frost Novas than lightning. My mana's taking a little hit, so sometimes I have to pot to keep it up, but it's not too bad. A good method is to use static first, and then Frost Nova. Frost Nova chills them so they go slow, so survivability is alright. Probably helps your Merc out more than it helps you. But yeah, so that's it. So this time I'm going to do a Chaos Run, players 8, and using the Death Fathom. So the difference between using Death Fathom and Doom. Doom will do more damage versus cold immunes that are broken with the Sunder Charm. Death Fathom will do more damage versus non-cold immunes. So you kind of, it's like a give or take. And I'm just doing seal bosses. I'm not going to do a full clear, just because I want to make sure that I get the players 8 Diablo. It's somewhat challenging to do these tests online, because you have to make sure that there's people in the game. These guys certainly go down pretty quick versus Frost Nova, but there are a lot of cold immunes. Oblivion Knights are cold immune. So I have to pot a little bit. So I static before I do Frost Nova. Static a few times, take them down. Had to pot again. This guy is cold immune too. I must have missed Desace, because it didn't go. Where is he? There he is. Yeah, so certainly a little bit harder than Lightning Nova. So I'll pre-static, and then I will spam Frost Nova. Goes down to player 7. This fire is gonna hurt. Killed my Merc. Not a huge deal because I have Cold Mastery. You actually do more damage versus Diablo with Death Fathom versus Doom. So yeah, that's it. Just wanted to see if this build is viable on players 8. I feel like it is. It's just, is it better than Lightning Nova? No. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to do so below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.